Good morning, welcome to Headline Focus here live on Core Politics with me, Rob Double. It is Monday the 4th of June 2018. Let's have a look at what's making the political news to start the week off. And to start with, you've got several multi-layered Brexit story coming through in the various papers and news outlets today. Theresa May, the Prime Minister, is hosting leaders of Britain's biggest businesses in Downing Street today for a meeting to provide an update on the Brexit talks, how they're going. Now, there's 17 days to go until the next European Council summit. Issues including the Irish border customs union role, the European Court of Justice, still pretty much, reports indicate, unresolved in terms of where they were a few months ago and a few weeks ago. And so there won't be apparently much more to reassure businesses of in terms of clarity, in terms of what's been agreed between the UK and the EU. Now, this comes amidst the backdrop of what you may have seen on the weekend to do with Brexit, main one being that, according to some reports, advisors are drawing up Armageddon scenarios in terms of Brexit to at least plan for just how bad the situation could be if there's no agreement on several key components of the relationship between the UK and the EU. So that's talk of the port of Dover collapsing under the pressure and of food and medicine even being short. Now, this has been dismissed by many sources as being false or not recognised. So maybe perhaps something we should not look into, but not been a great couple of days in terms of stories regarding Brexit for the government. Now, the Times have also reporting today that the government only has a few weeks to broker replacements, third-party trade deals with countries, as the European officials have told the government that they will not ask EU trading partners to allow Britain to benefit from current trade deals. Now, particularly that's mainly like Japan and South Korea, which the EU has that relationship with. Now, that will not happen, EU officials say, until Theresa May signs the final legal text of the Brexit deal. In other words, the current legal text being drawn up by the negotiating teams over the EU and the UK's withdrawal from the EU and what the obligations are and what the legal requirements are for both parties. So quite a hard line, but we'll probably get some more information as the Brexit business lunch, I think it goes on through lunchtime, gets underway, probably coming through tomorrow morning as well in tomorrow's papers. Next up, government, and in particular Home Secretary Sajid Javid, is launching a new, or rather refreshed, counter-terrorism strategy today for the government. Sets out the government's new strategy in terms of countering terrorism for the immediate future. This is following a year-long review in the wake of last summer's terror attacks. Now, the extracts were briefed overnight, but they were actually relatively limited on details. But what we do know is that reports say that Sajid Javid reaffirmed the government's commitment to the PREVENT programme, which has been rather controversial in some communities in terms of tackling terrorism before it happens and indeed preventing people from becoming vulnerable to getting involved in terrorist activities. And there's going to be more pressure on tech companies to at least act in terms of stopping terrorism from spreading on online platforms. Now, quotes are coming through that Sajid Javid will say something along the lines of him wanting faster alerts for suspicious purchases online, improving security at crowded places and reducing the vulnerability of our critical infrastructure. Tech firms or other firms which operate online will be told to raise the alarm over suspicious buying patterns or behaviour when hiring vehicles, as well as Sajid Javid will also promise reportedly a review of the visa system for foreign doctors. Controls will be removed within weeks. So there's two elements of wanting to see Sajid Javid, a shake-up of the system, showing that he is very much a new Home Secretary with a new agenda. The last story there from the Telegraph saying about the visas for foreign doctors, something not to do with terrorism, but a new policy that's come through. Reports are that he wants to shake up the system, shake up the immigration system as well. Now, final story is from Israel, and there's a report coming through in the Times today, although it's been reported across many outlets, that Israel has presented Britain with new evidence, along with other EU partners, European partners, that Iran has been breaking its agreement with the West, specifically over the Iran nuclear agreement, and has quietly been working on developing nuclear weapons. Now, this is from material which was obtained by the Israeli security services during a raid. And it's designed, reports are, is designed to put further pressure on European nations to abandon the nuclear deal after it's been left particularly vulnerable after the EU decided to, the US decided to withdraw under Donald Trump's presidency. Now, he will say, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, will say the international accord was based on a fundamental falsehood that Iran never intended to develop uranium as part of a nuclear weapons program, and that it was only for peaceful means. These reports, this material being passed over to the European allies indicates something differently. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu is, of course, going to be in the Europe today, this week, and indeed the UK this week, for a 4-day visit. He's meeting with Theresa May, Emmanuel Macron and Angela Merkel. So again, more lines will come through on that, particularly in terms of the Iran nuclear deal to look forward to as the days progress. That's pretty much it for today. You're up to date. Don't forget you can find all the latest on what we're doing here on Core Politics on our Facebook page and Twitter right here. But from me and all the team here at Core London, have a fantastic start to your week.